Layla Al-Mansoor was the kind of woman who turned heads and twisted fates. Sheikh Zayed Al-Rashid was the kind of man who erased problems without leaving fingerprints. When their worlds collided in the glittering shadows of Dubai's elite, it wasn't love. It was a ticking time bomb wrapped in silk and secrets. What started as a high-stakes affair spiraled into blackmail, betrayal, and a disappearance that shook the city's underground to its core. This isn't just a scandal. It's a blueprint for how power, obsession, and ambition can turn deadly when the wrong secrets land in the wrong hands. The Crime Scene presents a new page of crime, a new mystery, a new shock case. Dubai was dripping in excess. Gold-plated everything. Lumbos parked like civics, and influencers chasing clout like it was oxygen. Layla Al-Mansoor fit right in. She wasn't born into it, but she married well. Tariq, her husband, was old school, oil money. Quiet, conservative, the kind of guy who thought a Birkin bag was a practical gift. But Layla? She was a whole vibe. Designer heels, iced-out wrists, and a social calendar stacked with yacht parties and rooftop galas. She played the role of the perfect wife, but behind the glam, she was restless, bored, hungry for something that couldn't be bought. She started showing up solo at events, flashing that million-dollar smile and dropping cryptic captions on her socials. "Desert winds whisper secrets," she posted once, under a photo of her staring off into the dunes. People noticed. Whispers started. But Layla didn't care. She was building something, an image, a brand, maybe even a trap. Her rise through Dubai's elite circles was no accident. She knew exactly who to charm, who to ghost, and who to keep close. She wasn't just networking, she was hunting. And when she crossed paths with Sheikh Zayed Al-Rashid, it was game on. He was royalty with a dark edge. The kind of man who made deals in silence and left no fingerprints. Layla saw the danger, but she also saw the opportunity. She leaned in. Their connection was instant. Private dinners turned into secret weekends. Layla started skipping charity events and showing up in places she had no business being. Her husband noticed, but he was too proud, or too scared, to confront her. Meanwhile, Layla was slipping deeper into Zayed's world. A world of encrypted phones, untraceable gifts, and whispered threats. She thought she was in control. She thought she was untouchable. But in Dubai, power doesn't play fair. And Layla was about to learn that the hard way. Sheikh Zayed Al-Rashid wasn't your average royal. He didn't do press, didn't pose for magazine covers, and didn't care for the spotlight. But behind closed doors, he ran Dubai like a chessboard. Every move calculated, every piece disposable. His name carried weight in places where laws bent and silence was currency. He had ministers on speed dial, judges in his pocket, and a security detail that operated more like a private militia than bodyguards. People feared him, respected him, envied him, but nobody really knew him. Layla saw past the mystique. She wasn't blinded by the Bentleys or the beachfront palaces. She saw the cracks, the paranoia, the control, the obsession with secrecy. And that's what pulled her in. Zayed didn't chase women. They came to him. But Layla? She made him chase. She played it cool, kept her distance, dropped breadcrumbs. And Zayed bit hard. Their affair wasn't some romantic whirlwind. It was tactical. Layla got access to places most people couldn't even dream of: private compounds, encrypted networks, offshore accounts. Zayed trusted her, or maybe he underestimated her. Either way, she was inside. And once she was in, she started watching. Not just the lavish gifts or the hush-hush meetings, but the patterns. The way his people moved. The way documents disappeared. The way problems got solved without ever hitting the news. Layla started collecting. Notes, photos, voice memos. She wasn't just having an affair, she was building a case. She knew Zayed's empire wasn't clean, and she knew if she played it right, she could flip the whole thing. But she also knew the stakes. People who crossed Zayed didn't get second chances. They vanished. Quietly. Permanently. Still, Layla kept digging. She thought she was ahead of the game. Thought she was untouchable. But Zayed had eyes everywhere. And the deeper she went, the more dangerous it got. Layla wasn't just playing with fire. She was pouring gasoline on it. After months of sneaking around with Sheikh Zayed, she stumbled onto something that flipped the whole game. It happened during a weekend stay at one of his lesser-known desert estates. While Zayed was off handling business, Layla wandered. She found a hidden safe tucked behind a vintage tapestry. Inside, a black leather ledger, no labels, no logos, just raw data. Names, dates, offshore accounts, coded transactions, and a list of people who'd gone radio silent. It was dirty, like international scandal dirty. She didn't panic. She snapped pics, encrypted them, and backed everything up to a cloud account under a fake name. Layla had leverage now, real power, and she knew exactly what to do with it. She drafted a message to Zayed, no fluff, no flirting, just numbers. 10 million wired to a Swiss account, a private jet to Monaco, and a promise to disappear forever. If he didn't comply, the files would go public. She even hinted at media contacts in London and New York. Layla wasn't bluffing, but Zayed wasn't the type to negotiate. He didn't reply, didn't call, didn't even send one of his usual gifts. Instead, Layla noticed a black SUV parked near her villa. Same one, every day. Her phone started glitching. Her emails bounced. And one night, her housekeeper swore someone had been inside while Layla was out. Nothing stolen, just moved. Just enough to send a message. Layla tried to stay cool, but she was spiraling. She booked a flight under a fake name, packed light, and deleted every trace of her plan. But it was too late. Zayed had eyes everywhere. The moment she stepped into the airport, her name was flagged. Security escorted her out for questioning. She never made it to Monaco. And from that moment on, Layla was officially off the grid. Layla's disappearance hit like a thunderclap. One day she was posting cryptic quotes and flaunting her designer life. The next, radio silence. No calls, no texts, no stories. Her husband, Tariq, tried to keep it quiet at first, hoping it was just one of her dramatic getaways. But when her car was found abandoned on the edge of the desert highway, panic set in. The keys were still in the ignition, her purse untouched, and her phone wiped cleaner than a whistle. It didn't look like a robbery. It looked staged. The Dubai police opened a case, but it was all smoke and mirrors. No press release, no public search. Just a few quiet interviews and a whole lot of closed doors. Tariq pushed harder, hiring private investigators and leaking the story to foreign media. But every lead hit a wall. Her credit cards hadn't been used. Her passport hadn't been scanned. It was like she vanished into thin air. Then came the weird part. A burner phone linked to Layla pinged from a private airstrip hours after she went missing. No flight logs. No security footage. Just tire tracks leading into the sand and a hangar that belonged to one of Sheikh Zayed's shell companies. The investigators flagged it, but nobody wanted to touch it. Too risky. Too political. Rumors started swirling. Some said Layla was taken out by Zayed's people. Others claimed she escaped and was hiding in Europe. But the truth was buried deep. Literally or figuratively, nobody knew. Her social accounts were deactivated. Her friends stopped talking. Even her stylist refused to comment. The city moved on. Another scandal, another mystery swept under the rug. But Tariq didn't. He kept digging, kept asking questions. And somewhere in the shadows, someone was watching. Because in Dubai, silence isn't peace, it's a warning. The case was ice cold until Istanbul lit the match. A drug bust went sideways, and one of Sheikh Zayed's former bodyguards got caught in the crossfire. Dude was sweating bullets, facing serious time, and looking for a way out. So he started talking, not about drugs, but about Layla. He claimed she didn't vanish. She was handled. His words, not ours. Said Zayed called in a fixer named Khalid, a ghost in the system, the kind of guy who made problems disappear without a trace. According to the bodyguard, Layla was sedated, flown out of Dubai on a private jet with no manifest, and buried in a stretch of desert so remote even camels avoided it. He dropped GPS coordinates like he was unloading guilt. Investigators didn't buy it at first. It sounded like a movie script. But they followed the lead anyway, quietly, off the books. They flew in under the radar. No press, no noise. The location was brutal, dry, cracked earth. No signal, no landmarks. But after hours of digging, they hit something. A shallow grave. Inside, a body wrapped in silk sheets, a Cartier bracelet still clasped on the wrist, and a SIM card wrapped in foil tucked beneath the collarbone. It was surgical, intentional, like someone wanted it found, but only by the right people. The bracelet matched Layla's social posts. The SIM card was traced to her burner phone. DNA was inconclusive, degraded by heat and time. But the circumstantial evidence was loud. Too loud. The case exploded behind closed doors. Zayed's name came up in every whisper. Internal security launched a quiet probe. His assets froze overnight. No arrests, no headlines, just silence. The kind that screams. Tariq went public, dropped the story to every outlet that would listen. And suddenly, Layla's name was everywhere again. But this time, it wasn't about glam. It was about justice. Or revenge. Maybe both. Sheikh Zayed's empire didn't crumble. It cracked, slow and silent, like a pressure leak in a luxury jet. After the desert grave discovery, the whispers turned into quiet panic. Internal security moved fast, but discreet. No sirens, no cuffs, just a summons. Zayed was reassigned, a polite way of saying he'd been benched. His name vanished from press releases. His social accounts went dark, and his usual entourage? Scattered like dust in a sandstorm. The royal family issued a vague statement about personal misconduct, but everyone knew what it meant. Behind the scenes, assets were frozen, properties locked down, and shell companies dissolved overnight. Zayed's inner circle started ghosting each other. No one wanted to be next. The man who once ruled Dubai's underworld with a velvet glove and an iron fist was now a ghost in his own city. Meanwhile, Tariq flipped the script. He went full throttle. Interviews, exposés, podcasts. He dropped Layla's story like a bomb on every platform that would listen. The docuseries hit YouTube and blew up. Millions of views. Hashtags trending. TikTok edits showing Layla's glam life side by side with crime scene theories. The internet turned her into a legend, a tragic queen who flew too close to the sun. But not everyone bought the narrative. Some said Tariq was cashing in. Others claimed Layla was never dead to begin with. Conspiracy threads popped up overnight. Reddit sleuths started connecting dots that didn't exist. Still, the damage was done. Zayed's name was radioactive. His deals dried up. His allies distanced themselves. And Dubai's elite scene got a wake-up call. Power doesn't protect you when the internet decides you're guilty. Layla's story became more than a scandal. It became a symbol of corruption, of silence, of how fast the mighty can fall. And somewhere out there, someone was watching it all unfold, waiting for the next move. 6 months after the dust settled, the story took a wild left turn. A woman walked into a clinic in Tangier, burn scars on her neck, fake ID in hand, and a vibe that screamed, "Don't ask questions." She claimed to be a tourist, but the nurse clocked something off. Her accent didn't match her passport, and her eyes? They carried a storm. The clinic ran a routine DNA test, just to be safe. Results came back flagged. The woman was Layla Al-Mansoor. Alive. The internet lost its mind. News outlets scrambled. Tariq went silent. And Sheikh Zayed? He was already buried under scandal. But this twist cracked the coffin wide open. Turns out, Layla had faked her death with help from Zayed's enemies. Rivals who wanted leverage, receipts, and revenge. The grave in the desert? Staged. The bracelet? Planted. The SIM card? A breadcrumb trail designed to trigger chaos. Layla had played everyone. Zayed, Tariq, the media, even the investigators. She'd spent months off-grid, bouncing between safe houses, changing her face, her name, her story. And now, she was back, with a memoir deal, a Netflix pitch, and a whole new identity. No apologies. No explanations. Just a press release and a teaser trailer titled Asterisk, buried but breathing. Asterisk. People were split. Some called her a genius. Others called her a monster. But Layla didn't care. She was trending again. Her face was on billboards. Her story was being optioned for a limited series. And the truth? It didn't matter anymore. Perception was power, and Layla had mastered the art of manipulation. Dubai's elite went quiet. Zayed's name was scrubbed from every record. Tariq moved to London and refused interviews. But Layla? She was just getting started. Because in a world built on secrets, the woman who controls the narrative controls everything. And Layla had the final word.